All right, guys. So we're gonna go ahead and continue part two of the basic, pretty much just a bare bones mod tool, so you guys can kind of learn. And then we're gonna do a second video where I'll go ahead and create a more advanced tool and show you different things you can do. I've made a couple different ones, one for a recent game as well. So we'll go ahead and kind of show you the different things we can do and add a lot more. Oops, let's go back here. And we'll be able to add a lot more functionality and features and just expand on the scripting portion as well, obviously, to create all of those extra features that this current version does not have and will not have. All right, cool. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is actually, if you notice with this indicator, if we just leave it steady, it's moving towards us. The reason that it's moving towards us is because we have the raycast to cast every 0.1 seconds, and it's hitting an object, and the indicator is moving to that object. So in this case, the raycast is actually hitting the indicator itself, and that's why the indicator moves slightly closer and closer and closer and closer, because the raycast keeps hitting the indicator. So we don't want that to happen. So to just prevent that, we're going to go ahead and just make the indicator non-collidable. And now it is fixed. So now that won't happen anymore. All right. Thank you, Pikachu, for the applause. Okay. See? So there we go. All right. So now in today's video, we're going to go ahead and cover the making of the menu, scrolling through the menu, the selection choice of how we're able to denote which one of the three items that we're scrolling through that we want to pick that item, and how to keep a record of that. And then obviously when we pick the item that has been selected, we want the corresponding action. Is it going to mute a player? Is it going to send them to the jail box? Is it going to permanently ban them, which will, every time they come into the world, as soon as they spawn into the world, they will automatically spawn inside a jailhouse without anybody doing anything. So those are the three actions we're going to apply to this tool. So first, we need to create the menu of those three actions and be able to scroll through that menu and then be able to select an item from that menu. So, and then we'll just do a quick recap at the end. So let's go ahead and get started. You ready, Carrie?
I'm ready.
All right. And also, she made a little tablet. So she upgraded from a cylinder to a tablet. I'm sticking with the cylinder for now because I already showed you guys. You can use Pikachu. So I already showed you guys how that works too.
Yeah. Can you speak?
Yeah.
Pikachu or the tablet?
Okay, so here we go. Okay, so let's go back to the script. All right. All right, so we're going to make a menu. So what we're going to do first, let's go ahead and take out a text gizmo.
Okay.
Because obviously we need text. We need to display something. We can go ahead and open it, and we'll just type menu for now. So we can just see some text. All right, there we go. So we're only going to use one text gizmo. Okay. In a little bit, we're going to put that inside of our group, our mod tool grouping. We're not going to do that just yet, but we will do that in a second. So now we have the text that we're going to display the menu on. What we're going to do just for this video, what we're going to display on this menu is just four things. We're going to display the player's name. We're going to display the player's name and three options, which those three options will be mute, kick, which kick is go to jail, and ban. So those will be the three options that the menu will display. So we're displaying four line items, right? The name plus the three actions that will be available. So to do this, we're going to get started off. Let's create an event when an event is received, and we'll call the event when the event is received. We'll call it menu. And I already have one here. So we can just find the one that says menu. If you guys at home, I mean, you just click new event and you can type in the name for those at home. But we already have menu, so we'll use menu. All right, so when the menu event is received, we want the menu to go ahead and display. So to do this, what we will do is let's go to our variables tab, and we're going to
Okay.
create a new variable. It's going to be a string type, and this is going to be a list. So toggle the list button on, and we're going to name this menu, if it will allow us. It does, because we didn't name anything else menu. Let's go ahead and
Okay.
create one more variable, and we will
Mm-hmm.
call, well, this will be an object. This is our text gizmo object. This one will be called to do menu text, menu txt. So that way we kind of know that this object is the menu text object, right? Okay,
Got it.
good. Okay, cool. All right. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and create the menu options. So go to your variables to the menu that we just created. All right. So we're going to go ahead and go to our variables menu list. And you see that drop down arrow? We're going to click on that. And
Yep.
then you'll see add
Okay.
new item shows up with a plus sign. Let's click on that. So this automatically um, added an item to our menu list. This is a string list, so it has to be characters. We're gonna do it 3 more times. Add new item, add new item, add new item. So we should have 4 different little text spaces or pills we can type in, and it should say
Okay.
0, 1, 2, 3. Right? You got that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Zero, one,
So
two, three.
we're gonna leave the top one empty, and actually we don't even need all of these. We only needed 3. So delete the last one.
Okay.
So we're only gonna have zero,
Got it.
1, 2 because I forgot the
Okay.
player name. We're gonna grab that, and I'll show you in a second though how we'll do it. So in 0, go ahead and type mute,
Mute.
and the
Yep.
second one you can type kick or respawn or jail. We'll go ahead and I'll use jail because I already used kick in my last one. Are you using jail or
Okay.
kick,
Jail.
Carrie?
I'm gonna use jail.
Okay, we'll use jail, and then the last one we'll use ban, because that'll be like a permanent uh, banning the player permanently. Which in essence, again, as soon as they spawn in, we will have the script to say if it is banned, they will automatically spawn to the jail. So that'll be under our action section. So not yet, but all right,
Okay.
we needed to write it down, right? Because this is our menu options. So now we have menu, we have mute, jail, and ban under our menu 3 items list. That is a string list. Cool. So now under our when menu is received events, we need to go ahead and something needs to happen, right? So how are we going to
Mm-hmm.
display this on the text gizmo that we pulled out? Where is my text gizmo, by the way? That's yours.
Yeah, mine's
Oh,
over
it's
here.
mine's right here, right in front of me. I'll put it here to the side so everyone at home can see. All right, I'm actually going to change my color to red so we can see it better. Okay. Okay, so now when menu event is received, and we haven't triggered what causes the menu event to be received yet. We'll get to that later. First, right now, we're just going to go ahead and build the menu layout. So what we want to have happen basically is we want to display these 3 items, menu, jail, and ban, um, with us with a space, not a space, but basically new lines. So each mute, jail, and ban will have its own line vertically, and we want the player name on top. So the first thing we'll do is let's take out a while loop. So go to the events tab, grab a while loop. And I think this is your
Events
first time using a
tab.
while loop, Carrie. Maybe, maybe not.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think I've used a while loop before.
Okay, cool. So now a while loop. we'll build it out and then I'll explain it. So it's asking for a condition.
Okay.
It's kind of like it's a cousin to the if. That's why they have the same color because they're cousins.
Oh,
So it's also
while
conditional.
loop.
Yeah. So while this
Got you.
condition is true, we're going to execute the following nested items, right? So let's
Okay.
go ahead. Let me move this out the way because that's, or let me just move forward a little bit. Yeah, I'm going to move forward a little bit because all of this is, all these strings are in my face. Okay. Okay, cool. So, all right. So while loop, um, we need to go ahead and put a condition for it to check if it's true or false. So the condition in this case, we're going to create something called an iterator. We will create a new variable and leave it as number type. So it's a number. And we will use the
Okay.
letter I to represent iterator. Click confirm. And now we have a number variable. Cool.
Okay.
We're going to go to
Cool.
operators and we're going to grab
Mm-hmm.
the, and under the logic section, we will grab the less than symbol. It's the second one from the top left. And so
Okay.
now we have while A pill is less than B pill. So on the
Okay.
left side,
Mm-hmm.
um, we'll put the iterator, the I variable that we just
Okay.
created. Good. All right. And
Yep.
then on the right side, we're going to go to operators. We're going to scroll down to our list section of operations, operators.
Got it. Okay.
And we're going to find, let's see if you can guess which one of these.
Uh. Wow. Oh no.
Yeah. Hint, it has to be one of the teal blue ones.
Get item from list.
Close. We're going to use the length of list for this conditional part.
Oh,
So
okay.
while I is less than the length of the list, and we already know which list we're going to put in there, the menu string list. Okay. So now if
Got
we
it.
read this, it says while a number that we're going to set in a second, while a number is less than the length of the menu. The length of the menu, what that means is how many items are in the menu. If we go to our variables tab, how many items are in our menu? It
3.
should tell you three. Okay, so that's the length of the list, 3 items. Cool. So we have
Cool.
yellow hashtag I, which is a number variable. So while this number is less than 3, because that's the length of the menu, we're going to
Mm-hmm.
execute the following. So the thing that we want to execute will be, we want to create a new variable first.
Okay.
This is before we say what we're going to execute, we need to create a variable. This will also be a string. It is not a list. This is just a regular string variable. And this we can call capital M, capital U, capital I. So menu UI, user interface, right? And again, this is just personal preference for what how you want to name things, but we'll use it like this.
Okay.
All right,
Menu
so
UI.
correct. No, just menu UI or MUI, doesn't matter. Um,
Okay.
I just
MUI.
put MUI for short. Okay. So what I
Got
want
it.
to do is basically what we want to do. I'll explain it. If you look at your one line of code that you have there, um, while I is less than length of menu, I want to grab the first item, which will be mute, and I want to add that to my menu, my text gizmo menu, right? And
Mm-hmm.
then I want to also grab the jail and add that. And then I want to grab ban and add that. So to do that, we have to use a while loop so it cycles through each item in the menu string list. Okay.
Okay.
So what we'll do is we'll grab the set to value under the values tab. And so we're going to set MUI, and then it's asking us
And this is
what do we want to set this to? Go ahead.
okay. I was gonna say, and it's nested under while, right?
Correct.
Okay.
All right. So we want to set MUI, which is
Mm-hmm.
a just a variable, an empty string right now. We want to set this to, we will get a plus symbol first under your operators, basic operations. We'll get a plus sign. We'll put that in the value.
Okay.
So now we can add multiple things and not just one thing. So the first thing we're going to add to the A will be MUI or the menu UI. We're going to copy and
Okay.
duplicate that, and you'll see why in a second. All right, so we're going to set MUI to MUI plus, and now we want to grab one of the items. And this is why we're using
This
an
one.
iterator, because the iterator
Okay.
is a number, right? And the
Mm-hmm.
list, if you go back to your variables tab and you open the drop down, you can see what number is mute in the list of menu items.
0,
And then what number is jail,
1,
what number is ban.
2.
Exactly. And so we have a while that's a number. So this is what we're going to do. In that B section, we're going to go to operators. We're going to go
Mm-hmm.
to the list area again. And now, which pill are we going to use?
Get item from list.
Exactly. Get item from, let's
Okay.
go ahead and drop that there. And now, what is it asking for? It's asking for a
Get item.
number and a list.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you think we're going to put in a number area?
The iterator.
Correct. So go ahead and duplicate that iterator, that I, into that number. And then into the
Okay.
list, you can go ahead and duplicate the menu string list. And there we go. Um, cool.
Okay.
So I is defaulted to 0 because we didn't set it to any number. So it's 0. We left it at 0. If we look at it in our values tab, it says I
Okay.
and then there's a 0. So its number is 0. So when the event menu is received, it says it says 0 is less than the length of menu, which is 3. So since it is, that is a true statement, it's going to go ahead and execute the nested event, our nested item, line item, which is set menu UI variable to menu UI plus get the item from menu list. Which item are we getting? Number 0 from the menu
Yes.
list. So what would that be? That would be mute.
The mute.
Exactly. So now MUI is saying mute. That's what MUI is saying right now. So
Okay.
we don't want to stop there though, because we still have two more things. So what do we have to do right after or right below we set the MUI? We need to get a set to again.
Mm-hmm.
And in this, we're going to go ahead on the variable. We're going to set I, and it's going to ask us for a value. We're going to put a plus sign in there. So scroll all the way up in your operators to the plus symbol. And we're going to do set I to, and then on the left side will be I again. So A will be I. And then on the B side, we're going
Okay.
to put the number 1. So you can get it from the cast loop where it's like, if you still see that in your script, you can see it right there, the yellow zero point
Oh
0.1
yes.
seconds.
Mm-hmm.
You can drag, copy that one. And now we want to change it to, instead of saying 0 0.1, we want to change it to just the number 1
Okay.
and read it back to me. So read it and try to break it down for me.
Okay. Let me just duplicate this. Okay. So I have for the second line of set 2. So it's set I to the plus sign. A is the I iterator plus the 0 0.1.
Not 0 0.1. We need to change that to 1.
1. Okay. Changing it to 1.
Correct. All right.
Okay.
So
Set.
now read the whole menu event. What's happening when a menu event is received?
Okay, so we got the while with iterator less than length of menu list. Then under that, set MUI to MUI plus get item iterator from menu and set I to I plus one.
Okay. So that happened. And so now that that happened, is the event is it done working or what's going to happen now?
Now you have to duplicate it.
No. So the while
Mm-hmm.
loop, the difference between the while loop and the if statement, they both are checking to see if what we put in the condition um, is true, right? So if
Okay.
I is less than 3, if that is true, execute the following that's nested. You
Okay.
get that? You understand that part, right?
Yes.
Confidently? Yes. Okay. So while
Yes.
I is less than 3, execute
Mm-hmm.
this. If it's not less than 3, it's not going to execute that code, right?
Okay.
So that's what a while loop is checking for. The condition portion of the while loop is checking. And the same thing with the if statement, it's checking. Like that's why I call it a checkpoint because it has to check,
Like,
is this true or false? If it's true,
okay.
execute. If it's not true, we're not going to execute what's right nested right below. Okay,
Okay.
so the difference between the if statement, because the if is checking and the while is checking. So what's the difference between the two if they're both just
Mm-hmm.
checking? So the difference between the two is the while loop is it checks, it executes the code, and then it checks again automatically. All right, let me repeat it.
Sounds good.
Yeah. So the while loop checks to see if it's true or false, the statement that we put in there, the condition that we put in there. If it's true, only if it's true. If it's true, it will execute the code that we put. And once it's done executing those 2, 3, 5, 10 steps, then when it says done checking those things, executing those lines of code, then it's gonna check again. It's gonna go back to the top and it's gonna check the condition again to see if it's still true. And if it's still true, then it's gonna execute again the lines of code. And once it's done executing, it's gonna check again if it's true now. And if it's still true, it's gonna keep going in a circle continuously. So that's why it's called while. While this statement or this
Mm-hmm.
condition is true, I'm gonna execute, right?
Okay.
So go ahead and I'm gonna stop the world. No, I'm not. Yeah, yeah. So what we're gonna do real quick, I'm going to grab just to kind of give an example because while loops are I like to teach about them for especially for like brand new beginners. So you guys at home can kind of see examples and see the little demonstration, little detour. All right. So when world is started, we're gonna go ahead. You don't have to do this, Carrie. You're gonna just look at the console.
Okay.
All right. So I am gonna go ahead and send this menu. All right. So I'm gonna do one thing. All right, cool. So now watch this. You're looking at the console, Carrie? So right now what I did is I'm saying when the world starts, I'm going to send
Mm-hmm.
menu to self. And so the menu code is going to execute. But I did one um, thing, and I'm not going to tell you what I did, Carrie, but I did one little change, and I'm going to
Okay.
play it, press start world. And now what do you see in the
Oh,
console, Carrie?
where are we?
So go to your builder menu
Okay.
and all the way from the right side, you'll see settings and then you'll see a script icon. Click on that.
Okay, builder.
And then you should see at the top, it says console and different messages.
Grab it. I mean, got it.
Yeah. So this is the
Yep.
console. And for everyone at home, this is the console. This is where you'll see errors for scripts that are running in your
Mm-hmm.
world. And you can figure out where the bugs
Okay.
are. Okay, so we have two errors that are showing. The first one, I think that has to do with my grab tool that I brought in that is not from this world. It's from my casino roulette table. So that's why it's
Okay.
causing an error because it's not finding some items. But then the second error, that's from what I just did. What does that say on your screen, Carrie?
Is it the entity provided to the raycast block in script hand tool does not exist?
That's a whole
Is that the one you're
different.
talking about?
That's a whole different one. Read another. So you
Okay,
have
let's
three
hold on.
errors on your screen.
Mm-hmm.
All right. What's the
And I have the
third
grabbable
error?
not found for entity. Expression cannot be empty. Miami on Miami tool. And the
Okay.
same thing for mine. Expression cannot be empty on my tool, on my script.
Okay. And what else?
Expression cannot be empty on yours again. Expression cannot be empty. I
Okay.
got
You
a
need
lot of
to
expression
clear.
cannot be
You need
empty.
to clear. No. 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 Time out, everybody. So
Okay,
look, if
I
you
cleared it.
keep, yeah, if you never clear it, then all of
And I have a whole list.
your errors from however long you're in build mode will build up. So make sure you clear it. So
Yeah,
clear it. I'm gonna stop the world,
cleared.
and now I'm gonna
Okay,
press play.
okay, there we go.
All right. So how many do you have now?
Two.
All right. What's the second one say?
It says script execution ran over allowed instruction count.
Okay. This is a very important error, and you have to not memorize, but memorize it. So you know what you have to fix. So
The
basically, when
script
you
execution
see,
ran over.
yeah, when you see script
Mm-hmm.
execution ran over on a loud instruction, basically that means you have a while loop um, that is an infinite loop, what they call it. Basically, what that means
Mm,
is it's continuously true and it's never turning false and it's too much for me to handle type of thing. That's why it says the script execution ran over allowed instruction count. So it's like too much is going on. There's an infinite while loop, which is an error. It's a coding error that we made. Um, so what I did is I removed the iterator. I removed the set I to I plus one. So now I is always zero. And since I is
okay,
always zero, it's never changing, which means the while I is less than length of menu, which is three. Since that's continuously true, we built an infinite loop and it's going to infinitely execute the script without stopping. See?
okay,
So that's not good. So that's why we have the set I to I plus one, because now after the while loop executes the first step, it will execute to I plus one. So I was previously zero. So now we're going to set I to I plus one. So it's zero plus one. So now what was I just set to? One, because we have zero
mm-hmm.
plus one. And now while loop is going to check is my condition still true? And now instead of I being zero, I is one. So it's going to check is one less than the length of menu list. And it is true. So it's going to execute again. And then it's going to do I plus one, which is one plus one. So now I is going to become two. And then it's going to check
Okay,
again. Is two less than length of menu list? It is. So then it's going to go ahead and execute the script, and then it's going to set I to 2 plus 1, which equals 3. And then it's going to check again. Am I still true? Is 3 less than 3? Is 3 less than 3, Carrie?
no,
It's not. So what's
three,
going to happen? Is it
no,
going to execute?
no.
It's not going to execute because it's no longer true. So that's how the while loop works. So it's only going to execute until it goes
Okay,
through each item on the list.
mm-hmm.
And you might say, well, like, wait, some people at home might be like, well, it got to three and it didn't execute, but there's three items in the menu. Correct. But if we look at our menu item list in the variables tab, you notice there is no number
Mm,
three. There's only zero,
right.
one, and two. So it did execute
Mm-hmm.
all of those items before it stopped executing. Got it? Cool.
Got it.
So basically, in the last 10 minutes, you guys learned what a while loop does and kind of how it works. And this is just one.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, it's obviously always used for lists pretty much, but this is just one example. And we're not done here.
Okay.
But just kind of giving you guys a breakdown of what you guys are using and what a while loop is and how it differentiates from a if. Because if just pretty much checks the statement one time and it keeps on moving. And that's it. It's not going to recheck unless, it's just not going to recheck. It checks it one time. But a while loop, it's going to continuously check um, every single time it runs through the execution code blocks. So after it runs through, it's going to check again. It's going to keep checking until it's false. Once it reaches false, then it stops checking and the while loop is done for now, right? Until
Mm-hmm.
menu is received again. So now watch this. We're going to show people at home, now that I put the I plus 1 back in its correct place, we're going to show the people at home. Um, and you can see in the console carry. So let's clear out the console. We're going
Yep,
to show the
clear.
people at home what a while loop does. Okay.
Okay.
And this is not correct. And I already know that. If you guys caught this earlier, I have to add a break line, a line break, which we'll do that in a second. But we'll go ahead and I'll press play. And what do you see, Carrie?
Mm.
You see a message.
Mute. Yes. It says mute jail ban
Correct.
92 on entity group. Mm-hmm.
Correct. So I asked it to
Got
debug
you.
print. So the while loop
Mm-hmm.
added mute, then added jail, then added ban to MUI, because that's what we have in the
Got
while loop.
you.
We're setting MUI to the previous, whatever MUI was set previously, plus the next item from the menu list. So
Okay.
we're just transferring one at a time the menu list that we have as a list to the variable MUI, right? But it doesn't look right because it's all in one line and there's no
Got you.
spaces and nothing. So to fix this, we will go ahead and go back to our while loop and we're going to go and just duplicate the MUI, the set MUI to just duplicate that part.
Mm-hmm.
Let's delete the get item I from menu list and let's go ahead and add another plus sign into B. So inside of B, add another plus equation or plus sign.
Okay. So another plus in the B.
Yes.
Okay.
And then
Got it.
we will, how shall we do this? All right, we're going to grab the pill that says get item I from menu list. Hover, we'll just grab it
Mm-hmm.
and plug that into the B that we have.
Okay. Got it.
And now we have an A that's empty, right?
Right.
So let's go to values. Let's go ahead and grab a string input and we'll go ahead and put that string input in the A section.
Okay.
And we're going to change that to a BR, a
Okay.
break
Just
line
BR, no bracket with the brackets.
with the tag. Yeah. I'm like, what did they
Okay.
call it? I haven't, it's called a tag.
The
Yeah.
tag.
So with the tag. So, and then we can go ahead and delete the one that we duplicated earlier that we
Okay.
just copied from. So now we should have a line. So now let me go
Mm.
ahead, look at the console, clear your console because there's a lot of errors because while you're scripting, if the world's running, it's going to give errors. But once you
Okay.
clear it and you look at it now, we have
Okay. Bracket.
BR. Okay, so it's just
Mm-hmm.
printing it out straight. Let me go ahead and display this text. You don't have to do this yet, Carrie.
Okay.
Actually, yeah, actually go ahead and do this. So go ahead and go to your actions and
Okay.
then go to scroll down to the text, grab the text display code block, put this at the
Mm-hmm.
bottom. This is not nested under while. This is
Okay.
underneath after while is done, but still in the
Okay.
menu. And then it says display. We're going to drag and duplicate the MUI variable and put that in the string area. So we're
Okay.
going to display MUI on, and we're not going to display it on the object self. We're going to display it on the variables menu text object.
Got you. Okay.
And now go ahead and connect your tool. Open the
With the menu.
properties. Yeah, open the properties panel on your tool, and we're going to go ahead and connect the menu object, which is a text gizmo. Connect that to your menu text.
To the object.
Yeah, the text gizmo. Yeah. And while she's doing that for people at home, I'll go ahead and click play. And there we go. All right. And so now that we connected the text gizmo and we print when world is started, we're setting the menu events so we can just see how it prints. But obviously, we don't want the menu event. I don't want the menu to show up right now. So I'm going to delete. Well, we'll leave it for now because we need to add one more line item. So now we have the list, the three things, but we're missing one. I want the player name to be on top. And what
Okay.
player is that going to be? It's going to be the player that we select. So we have to select the player. All right. So this is we're going to do that in the next step to select the player. Like when we point at a player, I want to say, okay, that's the player I want to decide which action to take on. So what we're
Okay.
going to do is we're going to go to variables. You're going to live in variables when you're a scripter because this is how you store, change, update information, especially in games if you like making games like I do. So we're going to create a new variable. It's a player type, and we're going to call this selected because this is going to be the player that we have actively selected to take an action upon. Cool. So this way we can point at every player, but it's not going to um, kind of trigger an action or it's not going to trigger the menu to operate unless we actively hit the trigger button when we're pointing at that player. Then that will make them selected. Okay, so we have a variable that we named selected. It's a player variable. So we're gonna do a what should we do now? We need a set to. So let's grab a set to in the values again at the very top. We're gonna put
Okay.
that above the while loop. So it'll be right below when menu is received, when menu event is received. We're gonna put a
Mm-hmm.
set to, and we're gonna put the MUI. Go ahead and put MUI for variable.
Okay.
And then the value is going to be name. So let's go to operators and let's go to the player section. And we're going to go to name of player. So I have name of player.
Okay.
And that player is going to be selected, the selected player. So we're going to go ahead and drag that pill and plug it into there. So now what's
Gotcha.
happening is when the menu event is received, it's going to set the menu UI string to the name of the player that has been selected. And then it's going to execute the while loop to get the list of items. And so we're going to have the player name. Then right below player name will be mute, then jail, then ban, just like that. So those are the four
Okay.
things. There's still more that we have to do here. So I guess we'll just go ahead and do it. So we're going to go to events. And the way I want to select the player is I want to use the trigger button. So we're going to go to events and we're going to say when under the grab, the controller events towards the bottom, we have a when index trigger is pressed. So we're going to
Okay.
grab that and we're going to put that right above the menu area so we can kind of stay in the same vicinity of everything else.
Which
And
menu
actually,
area?
right above when menu is received, menu event is received, we're gonna put it
Gotcha.
right there.
Okay.
Okay. And I don't know if I had it in your script. You should see a when world is started send menu event, Carrie. Do you see that
Mm-hmm.
in your script? Go ahead and delete that code block, both of those things.
When world is started all the way in the top.
It says when world is started, send menu event to self.
Oh, okay. Let's see.
Find that and delete that. The when world is
Got you.
started. So yeah, delete that. Okay.
Okay. Got it.
All right, so now go back to where when index trigger is pressed while grabbed by player. So when I'm
Mm-hmm.
holding my indicator, my Pikachu, or when Carrie has her tablet, and when she's pointing at a player and presses the trigger button, I want that player to be the player that is selected. So the way we're gonna do that is um, when a player gets hit, when a player gets hit, the indicator is moved to their head. So that means that's the person that's getting hit. And then if we move away from that player, then it's going to go to object. But what we want to do basically is we want to say while a player is currently being hit, we are going to we're going to create a boolean to denote if I'm pointing at a player right now, um, actively pointing at a player. We're going to create a true or false statement if I'm actively pointing at a player. The way that we're going to do this is we're going to create a boolean.
Mm-hmm.
So boolean type variable, and we're going to call this. I think we already used the word active in here. Um,
Yes. Mm-hmm.
okay, so we need another name. So we need another
Picked.
name. Yeah, picked. Let's do that.
Picked. Okay.
Okay. So we created a variable boolean called picked, which is always starts as false. So under the cast loop that we have, where it says if get did hit player from cast equals true, and then underneath we put set player to get player hit from cast, move indicator to head, position head of the player plus zero point 0.3.
Mm-hmm.
So right beneath that move, we're going to put a set to.
Okay.
I told you set to is like the most used code block.
Yeah.
All right, because we got to
Okay.
change things. As things change, we have to change values or we have to change, variables and what's going on. So we're gonna set picked boolean to true, and you can just grab the true boolean and copy it into that value from the if statement. You can just drag
Okay.
and duplicate it.
The
All
true
right.
one.
Mm-hmm.
Put it in the
So
value.
yes.
Got you. Okay.
All right. So it should say we're gonna set hit player from cast, and then we're going to move the indicator to the position of the player that was hit, and then we're gonna set pick to true. Okay. Um, and then we're going
Wait.
to do
I have a
yes,
question. Okay. So the set to part we just put in there. So the variable is the picked one that we just created.
correct. Yeah,
Okay. So that goes in there, and we have to change it into true
correct.
in the variables. And then two, you want a true one in there also?
So it should just be one set. So it should be set picked to true. That's how it should read. Do you have
Okay.
something else?
Well, the picked one that I created that automatically was
That should be
false.
set to false. Yes, always leave that as false.
Leave it alone. Okay. Okay. Got it.
Yeah,
So I have set picked, which is set to false already. Two, and then the true pill in there, the true
correct.
boolean.
Exactly.
Okay.
Correct.
Awesome.
So now we're going to go to events and we're going to use our first else, if else. So we're going to grab an else, just else.
Else. Okay.
And this we put right beneath the if, right below the pick true, but make sure
Picked.
it connects to the if.
Okay.
All right. So you
Okay.
should
Make sure
see
that
like
it's nested under that second if, or I should say there it is
yes,
actually.
it should be connected.
Okay.
It should connect like literally like just connect to the if. So it looks like it's one thing. It shouldn't be separated.
Okay. It should be right under set two, the set pick two.
It
All right.
should be under set pick two, but not underneath it. It should be
Got
connected
you.
to the if, right? So
Okay.
it
The
looks like set, move, and set. Those three code blocks are like all like in a little family, and
right. That's their own
within
family.
inside of if and else, right?
No.
Go ahead.
It says something about else needs a child block.
Yes.
Okay,
Because if we
go
put an
ahead.
else, we need to
Mhm,
execute something. Because before, if we don't have the else, everything was fine. Because
mhm.
it's going to only
Okay,
execute if did hit player is true. We're going to do the following, and that's it. But
okay.
now we added else. So else means
Mhm.
if it's not true, it's like otherwise. Else is another word for otherwise. So if did hit
Got you.
player is true, do A, B, C. Otherwise, do D, E,
Mhm.
F.
Okay,
Got it? So
got it.
whatever we put underneath else nested to else specifically, we're gonna
Mhm,
execute otherwise. So what the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna set picked to false. So duplicate that set pick to, duplicate that,
mhm.
and put it right nested to else. And then you should see that error go away that it needs a child block.
Yep, it did.
All right, perfect. And it looks nested just like it does with if, right?
Yes, it created its own family.
Yes, exactly. So now we're reading code here. So now if did hit player
Okay.
from cast is true, we're going to
Mhm.
do A, B, C. If it is not true, so like otherwise, we're going to
Mhm.
execute E or D, which D is
Okay,
set picked to false. So make sure that we toggle that to false.
got it. Okay.
All right. So now that picked is toggled to false, um, that's good. So what we'll do is we're going to go on back to when index trigger is pressed while grabbed by player event.
Mhm.
And we're going to grab another if and put it right there.
Okay.
And now we
If.
need a condition. Guess what the condition is going to be? The condition is going
Oh
to
boy.
be is if picked is true. That's
Okay.
all we're checking for. If picked is true. So we don't even have to put picked equals true in this scenario because it's a boolean. So we're just going to copy and paste the duplicate the picked boolean and just put it into that if condition.
Okay. Just copy the
All right.
picked one.
Yeah. So now if index trigger is pressed while your object is grabbed by the player, if picked is true, and what would
Mhm.
qualify picked to be true? If the raycast actively is pointing at a player. Because the moment it
Okay.
stops pointing at a player, what happens?
It's not true.
It's not true. We switch it to false.
Mhm.
And then so when I hit the index trigger, if I'm not pointing at a player, nothing's going to happen because picked will be false. But if I hit my index trigger and I'm pointing at a player, then picked is true. And now we're going to execute the following steps. And guess what we're going to execute?
Okay.
We're going to do two things. We are going to, um, we can actually, no, we're not going to do that. So we're going to go ahead and do another set two, our favorite code
Okay.
block. And we're going to put that inside the if. And what we'll do is selected, set selected, the player selected, put that pill in the set.
Okay.
And then we're going
Player
to
selected.
grab the hit player variable to the value.
Okay. Yep.
So,
All set.
all right.
Set
So
selected to hit.
exactly. So when I press the index trigger or you press the index trigger, we're gonna set our selected player variable to the last player that was hit, um,
Okay.
which is here, right? So, and obviously it's only going to execute if I'm actively pointing at the player because the moment I look away from the player, meaning I point away my tool to the tree, then picked will be set to false and it's not going to execute no matter how many times I press the trigger. All right, so now that
Okay.
we have selected is set to hit, the next thing we're going to do right underneath that, we are going to send event to object. So we'll go to the
Okay.
events, grab send event to object, and we're going to send the event menu or case
And
menu
nested,
in
right?
her instance. Yes, that's inside of the if as
Um.
well. hmm
Is this a new one? New event?
No, this is triggering the event, your menu event that we created. So you called it case menu. So
Got
you
you.
should pick case
Okay,
menu.
got it. Send case menu to
Self, right?
self. Okay, and that stays like that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So now let's go ahead and test it. Let me go ahead and add, where's my tool? All right. So I'm going to go ahead and insert my little menu. I'm just going to have it like that. Use the technique I just showed you guys. All right. Have a little bit over there. Well, actually, it's going to open up a little bit more. So let me make this smaller or a little bit bigger. Put it up a little bit. That's fine. Okay. All right. Let's start world and let's preview. All right. So go ahead and point at me and then press the
Mm-hmm.
trigger.
I don't see them. Is it because it's white? Is it because it's white?
That's it. Yeah, probably. That's why I changed mine to red.
But I did change the menu to red, but the rest of
So
the words come out white.
no, I don't know. Then I'll if you change the menu to red, you should be good. But as you guys can see at home, mine is working. But so here I was
The
pointing at
student is
her.
learning.
Yes, I was pointing at her, and then press the trigger, and then so we got the player's name, then mute, jail, and ban, because those are the 3 items in the list. And we can go ahead. Well, we'll go ahead and cross off the menu is done, and then the next part will be scrolling through this menu, because obviously we just have nice text to look at, but we need to be able to pick different items from that text, and that will be the scrolling portion, and then will be the selection portion, and then the actions portion. So if you're still with us, thank you, and I hope you guys are learning a lot because there's a lot to learn. And let
Yes,
me
there
go
is.
ahead and reset. There we go. Okay, Carrie. I'm gonna take a quick look at your script, and let's see. Everything looks good. Yeah, everything looks good here, from what I can tell.
Yay.
All right, let's try again.
Okay, let's see. No. Oh yeah, there it goes. Yeah. Oh, you can't see. I was gonna turn it around and show you, but only I can see it. But it works,
Yeah.
people.
All right, here we go. So now what we want to do next is actually um, we want to put an if statement, and the if statement's gonna be everything's gonna be nested inside of this if statement. So
The one with the
in the
scroll.
yes,
Okay.
so we're gonna put an empty if statement, and then inside of it we're gonna put the set scroll to scroll plus one, and also the if beneath that. So both things should be inside of an if that is empty.
Okay. So
Good?
I have if scroll equals 3, then set scroll to 0, and then to another if under set.
No, no. So you're gonna grab an if
All
statement
right. Mm-hmm.
and you're gonna put it on top of set scroll to scroll plus one on top of.
Right on top of it. Got it. Okay.
You're gonna put set scroll to inside of it.
Okay.
And then you're gonna also put the
Okay.
if in under inside of it as well, underneath still the set scroll. So both of
Mm-hmm.
those should be inside of the empty if.
Oh, the if too?
Yes.
You do that? Oh, got it. Okay.
Cool. So
Mm-hmm.
we're going
So I
to
call her Mama
create
If.
exactly. So we're going to create another Boolean variable. We'll call this
Okay.
one scroll. and we will drag that into the condition that we left empty for the if that we just created.
Okay, so the new variable, the boolean, I've
Hmm.
already used to scroll, so it's not letting me.
Uh, I use a lowercase. Try lowercase.
Okay, now we're talking. Okay,
Okay.
and put that in the if condition.
Yes.
Okay, got it.
All right.
Which is automatically set to false.
Exactly.
Okay.
Okay. So now, when button two is pressed, if scroll is true, we're gonna go ahead and scroll through. So the way we can set where we would want to set scroll to true would be is if we picked or selected, I should say. So where do we have that line of code? Where is our okay? So right above it, right around there, where index trigger is pressed while grabbed by player, that one.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so there we're going to. You should see set selected to hit player.
Yep, I see it.
Duplicate it.
Okay.
Delete selected and the players. Delete those two items. We don't need that. And we're gonna put scroll boolean, and then
Wait,
we're going
I'm
to.
sorry. Where do you want me to, which one do you want me to delete? So I duplicated the set selected to hit
So you're gonna delete the selected pill and delete the hit pill. So it should be an empty set two.
for the second.
It's
Got
just a
it. For the
lazy
second
way instead of going all the way to the
one.
menu and scrolling and getting a set two. You can just find other
Okay.
code blocks that like set two is everywhere. So you can just
Okay.
copy it and then clean it out basically, right? All
Gotcha.
right. So now we're gonna put scroll and we're going to
Okay.
put true as the value.
Okay.
Hmm.
Scroll and then true. Wish I could just steal from somewhere
Yep,
and put it to true, right?
exactly.
Okay. Got it.
Okay, cool. And then also we're gonna duplicate that scroll to true.
Mm-hmm.
And then after you duplicate it, drag it all the way down to when object is released by player.
Object. Gotcha. Mine is up.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. There we go.
All right. And put it to
So when
false.
object is released,
Set scroll to false.
got it. False. Okay. So in that object is released by player, I have a set active to false and a set scroll to false.
Correct. Cool.
Okay.
All right. Back to our scrolling. So
Mm-hmm.
now that so basically when I pick a player, I'm setting scroll to true. So I'm enabling myself to scroll through the menu. So now scroll is just doing numbers, right? It's scrolling through 0, 1, 2.
Mm-hmm.
But we want that 0, 1, 2 to mean something. So we want that to create a menu where we're highlighting one of the items that we got. We're either highlighting the 0 item, the 1
Mm-hmm.
item, or the 2 item of the menu. So we're either highlighting mute, jail, or ban, right?
Right.
So to do this, we can simply go to the menu event. We're going to duplicate. Um, we're pretty much going to duplicate everything that you see in your when menu is received. Let's duplicate that
Mm-hmm.
one by one. So let's duplicate the
One
first
by
line.
one.
Yeah,
Okay.
we're going to duplicate that and put it still inside of the big if scroll is true, but underneath, next in line after the if scroll is 0, if scroll equals 3, set scroll to 0.
Okay. It's nested under the last if
It's not.
or right
It's
under if.
separate. Yeah,
Okay.
it's right under it.
Got you.
All right. So now we duplicated that one. Now we're going to duplicate the while loop, the whole while loop,
Okay.
duplicate it in its entirety. And let's paste that underneath, following next.
Got it.
And then the last thing we need to duplicate is the MUI on menu text. So let's duplicate that. And then let's put that at the end again, after the while loop is done.
Which MUI?
The last one that says display MUI on menu text. Duplicate that line
Got you.
and we're going to paste
Okay.
that
Um,
underneath. All right.
Got it.
So we just copied everything from the menu and just put it inside of our scroll, right?
Okay. Okay.
Okay. So now, guess what we're going to do? We're going to put an if else inside of a while loop. It's like a
Okay.
sandwich.
And that.
We have a
eh,
conditional sandwich, ladies and gentlemen.
and the wild one that we just duplicated, right? All the wild ones.
Yes. We're in the scroll section,
Okay.
correct?
So,
Yeah. So,
so we're doing a while.
no, we're
No,
not doing a
no.
while.
Wait. Else. And
No, no.
else.
Hold on. So, all right, we're going to, when button two is pressed, right? So in the while loop area,
Mm-hmm.
we're going to grab an if statement, put it put it as the first thing inside of the while loop,
Okay.
and then we're going to grab the else block and put that right underneath the if inside of the while loop, so those two are connected to each other.
Okay. Nested.
Right? They should make a connection. The if and the else should make a connection.
Okay. Like they're together. Like they
Yes.
just got married.
Yes,
Gotcha.
exactly. Okay.
Okay.
So now what we're gonna do is we are going to grab that set MUI to that line of code that's right underneath the else. We're just going to grab that and slowly connect it to the else.
Okay.
All right?
So so that it's nested under else.
Exactly. And
Okay.
then we're going to duplicate that and take the
Which
duplicate
one?
copy, the one that we just put under else,
Duplicate. Got it.
and now drag the one that you duplicated and put it under the if part. So one should be under
Okay.
if, one should be under else.
Okay.
Cool?
Condition is still empty.
Yes. And so
Okay.
now what we will do is in the BR of the one that's under the if, so
Okay.
MUI to MUI, there's a BR. Before the
Mm-hmm.
BR, we're going to put in a mark. So do the open tag, type mark
Open
equals
tag. Wait, what do you mean open tag?
that's the less than symbol, like to be able to write code.
Right. Yes. But we put it into that little text box with the BR.
Yes. So put it before the BR
Mm.
because
Okay.
we're
So mark
creating
before BR.
another. It's called a tag. So we're creating another tag, and this will be to highlight.
Okay.
And actually, I apologize. It's not before. It's after the BR. So
Okay.
BR should be first, and after BR, go ahead and do the open tag. Go ahead, type mark. This will cause a
Mm-hmm.
highlight, and then I forgot what it is. I think you said
Mark equals
we could put
hashtag
different
or pound
colors.
sign. Yeah.
Yeah, we could put different
Color.
colors. Um, Go ahead.
Oh, yeah. The mark equals, and then they need to put the pound sign, the
Yeah,
hashtag,
correct.
depending how old you are.
And then we have to put the color code.
Yes.
Um,
And what color do you want to do?
I
Just want to
guess we
do
could do
black,
white because we have
white.
red.
My screen is white.
Okay, then yeah, you can do black for
Okay.
yours. I guess we'll do both do black.
I would say black 50
Okay,
for 50% opacity,
6.
and then close the closed mark sign, the bracket.
Okay, so this is important actually. Great point. So once we have the highlighted mark, um, we are actually going to need to close that because we don't want to highlight everything that's underneath it as well. So we need to add
Mm-hmm.
another piece to the puzzle here. So we're gonna delete the get item I from menu list. We're gonna delete
Okay.
that
From there,
uh, from yes from there,
delete.
and we're going to
Okay.
put a plus sign in there.
Another plus sign. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Got it.
And then we're gonna copy the get item I from menu that's under the else. Just copy and duplicate that into the A.
Got it.
And then we're going to go ahead and copy the BR from the else into the B.
Okay.
We're
Got
going
it.
to delete the BR and we're going to close the mark. And we do that by doing an open tag, a forward slash, and then typing mark and then close
Delete
tag.
the BR from where?
The one that we just duplicated. Like delete the
Okay.
text BR.
Delete the text BR. Got you.
Mhm.
Okay. It's and then do the mark.
Correct. Oh, but you're going to do open tag, forward slash,
Mm-hmm.
type mark, and then, yeah, and then the closing tag. Well, it's not even called a tag. This is a tag. Mark is a tag, and this is a closing tag. But I forgot what we call that.
Got you.
the the that
So
part.
to just the closing tag.
Yeah, closing tag, but it has to have mark. You have to. It has to say mark because we're closing mark.
It still has to say mark.
Yes.
Oh, okay. So
Mhm.
I'm okay. So I write the word mark and then the closing tag, right?
No. So
Okay.
you have the less than symbol, forward slash,
Yeah.
mark, greater
Really?
than symbol.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay, I got you. Okay.
Mhm.
Mark. Got you. Got you. Got you. And then closing mark. So in this case, you don't have to put the code block again when closing it.
What do you mean?
Close the less than slash mark. You don't do the whole equals the rest of it.
No, 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 no. Because this what this does, it means we're no longer highlighting because Mark highlights. So now that we
Right.
put this closing tag of Mark, we stop
Just
highlighting.
close mark.
Yeah,
Okay.
we stop highlighting because there's still more text because there's still a lot of more items that's going to
Mm-hmm.
be in MUI, right? So we don't want that to
Right.
highlight because if we don't close it, then everything will be highlighted. All the options will be
Right.
highlighted, and we don't want that. We just want to highlight one specific item, right? And which
Oh,
item do we
right.
want to highlight? That's what we're going to put in the condition. So in the condition that's empty, we're going to put the double equal sign, and we're going
Okay.
to put if um in B, go ahead and put I, iterator I, and in A,
Okay.
we'll put scroll, the number scroll.
Number scroll. Got it.
Yeah.
And
So
since else must follow an if or an else if.
you didn't connect it to the if.
Okay.
Make sure
We'll
you
connect
connect
to
it.
the if. Okay, I believe it's good now. Yep, it cleared it. No errors.
Okay. So now we have if scroll the number that's we scrolled to, because every time we press
Mm-hmm.
B, we're going either 0, 1, 2, 0, 1, 2, 0, 1, 2, 0, 1, 2. So if the scroll number equals the iterator number, then we're going to
Mm-hmm.
highlight it. So basically, in practical terms, let's say I press the B button twice. So I'm at number 1 because we start at 0. So actually I'll be at number, if we start at 0 and I press it once, then I'll be at 1. If I press it again, I'll be at 2. So I'll be at
Yeah.
number 2 for scroll. And then the while loop is going to create the menu. So the first one is going to be 0. And since it doesn't equal 0, it's not going to give it a mark. It's going to give it a regular text. Then it's going to do it again because we're in a while loop, and it's going to add the iterator plus 1. So it's going to check 1. Is 2 equal to 1? No, it's not. So it's not going to give it a mark. It's going to give it a regular text. And then we're going to do
Gotcha.
I plus 1. And now it's going to check is 2 equal to, is scroll, which is 2, equal to 2? And it's going to say,
Mm-hmm.
yes, it is. So it's going to give that one a mark. And that's how we are
Okay.
able to highlight which item we're currently scrolling on, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
now I think we can test. So let's go ahead and give it a test.
Okay.
Let's stop the world. All right.
Pikachu. Pikachu. Oh, trigger. Okay. And then let's see. I'm pressing B, but it's not moving.
All right. Let me test mine. All right.
Okay.
So I'm pointing at you. Got my trigger. All right. So mine, I only have your name popped up and not anything else. So let's figure
Okay.
out. Um. Say, oh, I know what I'm doing. I think. Well, actually, I'm not sure, but let's check. So one thing we do have to do is in the
Mm-hmm.
variables, we're gonna set scroll instead of it being 0. We're gonna set it to -1.
Okay. -1 in the
Yes.
scroll.
And the variables
Negative.
tab. In the variables tab, set
Mm-hmm.
scroll to -1. Okay. All right, and
Got you.
let's just take a look at what we have here. So, um, when object is grabbed, we're sending cast loop. When we hit the trigger, if picked is true, I'm selecting, setting selected to hit and scroll to true and sending menu to self. And then when I press the B button, if scroll is true, then I'm doing scroll to scroll +1. And then we're going to do set MUI. And we have the display because we copied everything else. So let's see. Because mine displayed your name, so this was correct. And then something got lost in translation over here. I'm not sure what because at face value it looks good. Set mark to 0, 2, 4, 6, and then 50, and then we're closing it. That's interesting. Let me try it again.
Okay.
All right, point at you. All right,
Yeah,
so I
mine
have
says
my
want to highlight.
menu, and mine just changes to your name.
I
All
see
right,
the menu.
so two things we're missing. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Number one is the I, because since we're using the I both for the when menu is received and
Mm-hmm.
for creating a menu every time the B button is pressed, the I has to, in order for a new menu to be created, the I has to be less than the length of menu. Since we added um,
Oh.
in the menu below, it's no longer less than, so it's not going to create the rest of the menu. So what we have to do is basically right before the while loop starts in our when
Okay.
button 2 is pressed, we're going to go ahead and copy or duplicate a set2 code block,
Set to code block. Okay.
and then we're going to set I to 0. And this is right before the while loop starts, so right above while loop before the button 2 is
Okay.
pressed. Okay.
Set I right to
0.
0.
Yes.
Okay. So set I to 0, and that's right over while.
Correct. Correct. So now
Okay.
basically we're resetting it because otherwise I will, because we're doing in the while loop, we're doing plus I plus one, I plus one, I plus one until it's false. So I will stay at number 3. And then when I press
Got
B
you.
again, I is still number 3. So it's not going to execute a new menu anymore. So we have to set I
Okay.
back to 0 so it can execute the while loop and go through the list of the menu items. Um,
Okay.
and then one more thing we need to do is we need to set, let's copy and let's duplicate the, where it says menu, excuse me, right above the set I to 0, we should see a set MUI to name of selected.
Mm-hmm.
Duplicate that.
Okay.
Delete the name of selected portion.
Name. Okay.
We're going to
Got it.
put a string value, an empty string value, and
Okay.
erase the period and just leave it empty. And we're going to put that above the set MUI to name of selected.
Okay. So we move it up.
Yeah, so it should
Got it.
be set MUI to empty, then
Mm-hmm.
set MUI to name of selected, then set I to 0.
Okay.
All
Got it.
right. All right, let's give that a test. Okay.
Pikachu. Okay, let's see. I hit trigger. Wait, trigger. Well, the trigger's not activating. Oh, there it goes. Okay, took a second. Oh, yep, it highlighted mute. Press it again. Jail. Press it again. Ban.
There we go. So now we can scroll through.
Nice.
So that's why
Mm-hmm.
I told you guys we need to put that and that close that mark. Otherwise, everything will
Mm-hmm.
be highlighted and we won't have something that's actively scrolling. So now you can tell that we're scrolling through it each option here, right? And then let
Nice.
me try mine. So I'm gonna point at
Mm-hmm.
you, and there we go. So you guys can see at home, we are scrolling through each item. There we go. Cool. So let's mark off scroll.
Yeah.
Almost done. We're getting to the home stretch.
Oh snap.